Now you can use it against the life of Jesus Christ. Having understood all this, now you can use it, of course. Please. Who is it?
The Holy Prophet ﷺ has prophesied that there will be Mujaddid in every century. Some people want to ask, what is the need for an Imam Mahdi in the presence of these Mujaddideen, and what is the difference between their status and their tasks?
This hadith about Mujaddideen can only be understood with reference to what actually happened in the Ummah of Hazrat Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam during the last 1400 years. No Mujaddid came after the pattern of the universal prophethood of Hazrat Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Not a single Mujaddid ever claimed to be the Mujaddid of the whole world. Yet we know that Mujaddideen came in different parts of the world, while other parts of the Muslim world had never heard of them. So the realities are these. Any interpretation of the hadith which is contrary to the realities is not acceptable. So this hadith must mean a Mujaddid or some Mujaddideen will be raised. Man is a word of Arabic which can refer to the plural as well as to the singular. Because the actual phenomenon we saw unfolded in the world of Islam indicated many Mujaddideen which shared the same time among them. A Mujaddid was born in an area of Arabia, one was born in the area of Africa, one in China, etc., etc. And these Mujaddideen had no relationship with each other. Yet in their own territories, they served the cause of Islam and revived those noble traditions of Islam which were about to die. So they emphasized the practice of these, and they were the Mujaddideen of those regions where they came. As I've already told you, none of them was universal. And none of them made a Jamaat of their own, which could continue into the future as such. None of them. But Hazrat Masih Maud al-Islam is a different case altogether. It was prophesied about him that he would call the entire world to the message of Islam. لِيُظْهِرَهُ عَلَى الدِّينِ كُلِّهِ. The prophecy of the Holy Quran was to be fulfilled in him, in his time. So the only person who is referred to as a universal representative or deputy of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is that Masih al-Maud. How can people mix him with an ordinary Mujaddid? His is a completely different case. And then he is combined with the office of Al-Mahdi. Lal Mahdiyu illa Isa. In this way, he is the same person born in the Ummah. He would also be entitled Al-Masih or Isa, because the hadith in Ibn Majah clearly indicates Lal Mahdiyu illa Isa. There will be no Mahdi other than Isa. And Al-Mahdi, they know, is going to be born here. So if he holds the title of Al-Masih, then you can say there is no Mahdi illa Isa. In that capacity, he is to address both the world of Islam and the world of Christianity. this is an office unanimously held, simultaneously held by the Masih Maud, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian, which was never held before in the entire history of Islam by anybody else. And the prophecy applies to him exactly as it was made. So the deputy of Hazrat Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was to appear in the latter days, had to be a universal prophet, but a subordinate universal prophet to Hazrat sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As such, he is completely different from all other Mujaddideen who came to specify small areas and for a time which was not everlasting, a time which ended with their death. They never left behind a silsila, or after every Mujaddid we should have seen another movement in Islam created. Where are they? None. See? This is the important thing which differentiates Masih Maud al-Islam from all other Mujaddideen.
Has also this Mujaddideen who appeared in the Ummah claimed ever to be a Mujaddid for the Ummah, or the people who...
Some are reported to have claimed, but there are other signs which differentiate them from the Mujaddid, which was, or the Al-Mahdi, who was prophesied by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For instance, Muhammad Jaunpuri Sahib, he was born in Hyderabad, Deccan, or thereabout, and he claimed to be Al-Mahdi. But he never claimed to be that Mahdi who was referred to in the Hadith as our Mahdi, for whom the heavenly signs will appear. And they never appeared. See? So, there are some Mahdis who are not those Mahdis which are in question. Because inna le Mahdiyena ayat hai indicates that there were some Mahdis other than our Mahdi. The Mahdi we are talking about is a different person. In his favor, the eclipses of the moon and sun would stand witness. In the Mahdis which are not our Mahdis, they are just Mahdis, good people maybe, but not the Mahdis of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These signs will not appear. So all this is well connected, and it makes a sense in its totality. Imam Muhammad Jaunpuri believed himself to be the Mujaddid in Islam, yet he never related to that hadith in his favor. That's one thing which distinguished him from the Mujaddid who was prophesied, the Mahdi who was prophesied by Ahmad. The second thing is that his movement never spread into all the Muslim countries or other countries of the world. He could not have been that Al-Mahdi who was to bring about a new revolution in Islam. Al-Imam Muhammad Jaunpuri is introduced nowadays to the world through MTA. Otherwise he would not be known. He is only known to a small number of his followers who still exist in Hyderabad, Deccan, and United States, or a few other countries, who are not known as such to all the rest of the Muslims. And some who live in Balochistan or south of Sindh, they are the people who have severed their ties with the mainstream Madhaviyin, and they are now called Zikris, and they have broken loose from the mainstream Islam altogether. This is the Mujaddidiyat. It has come to an end. And the Mujaddidiyat of Masih Maud al-Islam even if you refer to him as Al-Mujaddid, is a very different Mujaddidiyat from the one we have been noticing throughout the history of Islam. Moreover, people should concentrate on the wording of the hadith. Ala rasi kulli mi'atin positively indicates that the influence of the Mujaddid will be only at the beginning of a century, and it will not be permitted to pass on to the next century. For the next century there will be another Mujaddid. So his end is limited, his time is limited, his role is limited. But in case of Masih Maud and Al-Imam al-Mahdi, you can never produce a single hadith which may tell you that after Masih has appeared, after Mahdi has appeared, then after 100 years there will be another Mujaddid. In no hadith whatsoever is referred to. Whatever is referred to at the end of Mulukiyat Fasila, it says Summa Takunu Khilafatun ala Minhaj Nabuwa. So that Mahdaviyat or that Masihiyat which has been prophesied by Rasulullah will be followed by Khilafat, not by Mujaddidiyat. These are the very words of Rasulullah. So now you know the difference is very clear and very big, isn't it? And with that I take leave of you because you have left with 1 minute 34 seconds to answer, to translate it into Arabic.